But no, a long time ago, there was an older couple that lived in the village, and this old couple, this Kiwazi, this old man, and this Mdumboze, this old lady, at some point they started to lose their eyesight. They started to go blind, and the leaders in the village, they kind of got together and they had a meeting, and they were trying to figure out something they could do for this couple because they were concerned that if a warring tribe were to attack the village, that they would certainly kill this Kiwazi and this Dummolze, these two elders. They would certainly kill them first off, and they didn't want something to happen to them. So they wanted to do something for them, something that would kind of keep them safe and protect them. So they got together and they had this meeting and they came up with this plan. And what they decided to do was they decided to take this elderly couple and build them a house like 10, 15 miles away from the village, somewhere that if a neighboring party was to come in and attack the tribe, they would be far enough away that they would be safe. But at the same time, they would still be close enough to where, once a week someone could come over and bring them supplies, bring them some fresh meats, some fresh vegetables and whatnot, and kind of keep an eye on, make sure they were doing okay. And so they built them this beautiful house, and they lived in it for a while. This beautiful wigwam, and a little bit of time passed, several months, and then a year started kind of rolling by, and they were living real happy. I mean, every day they kind of had a natural routine they would do. Every morning, they would wake up, and the old lady would ask the Mdummoze old lady would ask the old man, Kiwezi, naden imbish. Old man, go fetch some water. And so the old man, he would get up, he'd take his pail, and then he would, now, in order to find the water, they had to tie a string from the wigwam down to the zebiwas, down to the creek, so they could follow it down to find the water. So he would follow this rope, he would go down, and then he would take that bucket, and he would scoop up some water, and then turn back around, and make his way back over the wigwam. And he would give the Dummose the water. And then she would take that water and she'd make them some breakfast. And every day, they would keep a fire going, and every day she'd cook them a meal. And they always shared everything. So she'd make a meal, and then she'd make a plate for herself and kind of, dish it out of the pot and make herself a plate and set it off to the side. And then she would get another plate, another dish, make that for the old man and give that to the old man. And that's what they would do. Every day they would have this meal and they would split the food half and half. And they lived real happy for a long time. As I said before, several months, even years started to pass. It was kind of just like a nice little getaway. They were on their own little spot. And then once a week, someone from the tribe would come over and they would bring some fresh supplies, some fresh venison, some fresh suksi wias, deer meat. They'd bring some damen, some corn, some kojas suk, some beans, and other things, shagagosh, some onions, so that they could have food to cook up and just kind of look after them, make sure everything was going okay. Well, one day, there was an aspen that was walking, a raccoon that was walking through the woods. And he kind of looked down from up high, looked down, and he saw the fire going and saw that wigwam and just kind of scratched his head a little bit. He couldn't quite understand what was going on. Why was this one wigwam just kind of sitting out here all by itself? So he was curious, so he came in a little closer, and it was morning time, and the old man had got up and was starting down towards the creek, and he kind of watched him, and there's that old man just kind of going down the rope, and taking that bucket, and scooping up some water, and then turning back and going back to the wigwam, and the aspen, the raccoon's kind of scratching his head, like, what is he doing? It's very odd behavior, and so he kind of comes in a little closer, and the old man hands the water kind of real carefully over to the old lady. She takes it and starts making some food and dishes up some food for the old man. She's taking it over to him. Of course, she can't really see. She's kind of moving around with her hand and kind of putting her hand out there. Okay, and hands him his plate, and then goes over and finds hers and starts eating her food. And he's like, well, I'll be darned, they're blind. They can't see what's going on. So that aspen, that raccoon, he's kind of bored, so he thinks, I'm going to have a little fun with him. I'm going to play a little trick on this Dummose and this Kiwezi, this old woman and this old man. So, next morning comes, just as every morning has come for the last several months, several years. Same routine. They both wake up, and the old lady says, "Kiwezi, naden imbish." Old man, fetch me some water. So he gets up, gets his bucket, he starts down that rope. What the Kiwezi doesn't know is that before he had a chance to start down that rope, that aspen had ran over there, grabbed that string, and took it back over here to some sand. So the old man, just like every day before, he kind of falls down that rope and he keeps going, gets his bucket, dips it down. Uh-oh. Scared. Nah. Jeez. The river, the creek has dried up. What are we going to do? He was really worried because he realized that they had just come to check on him and bring him fresh supplies yesterday. So it was going to be like a week before somebody came out there. They had no water. They were going to perish. He was like, oh, goodness. And so he picked his bucket up. He thought, I better get back up there and tell the old lady. Followed the string back, got up to the house, and he tells them, Dem Mose, the creek has dried up. And, of course, Dem Mose, the old lady's just looking at him like, they're just like, what? It's absurd. You're just being lazy. Stop being lazy. Here, give me the bucket. Give me the bucket. Give it here. I'll get water today. If you want to be lazy, go sit down. So they're arguing, and she's got the bucket. While this is going on, that aspen runs over there, grabs that string he put over here in this pile of sand, runs it back and puts it in the creek. So the old lady takes the bucket. She starts down that string, takes it, dips it down. Dips it down, there's water. And she's just kind of like thinking to herself, this old man, he's just more and more. He's just, that Kiwezi is just getting lazy. Just lazy. Doesn't want to do anything. Wants me to do all the work. So she heads back up the string, up to the house, gets there, takes a little bit of that water, throws it on the old man. What's that? That's bish, Kiwezi. That's water, old man. I don't know what you're talking about, the string drying up. You're just being lazy. Gago yab yetseken. Don't be lazy. He said, I don't know. I swear there wasn't no water. She's like, well, whatever. So she starts cooking their meal up. Puts some of that water in the pot, and she's stirring it up. Threw some shigagos, some onions in there. Got a little bit of suxi wias, a little deer meat. Making them up a nice little stew. And then when the food's all done, geez damn get, it's all done. She takes it, gets her bowl, and dips a little bit of that out on a plate for herself. Sits it over on the ground for it to cool. Gets another dish and starts dipping it out. Kind of looks around, hands it to the old man. Kind of works her way around. Gets to her dish, picks it up, gets ready to eat. There's no food in it. Well, what she doesn't know is while she was dipping that food out, dishing that food out for the old man, taking it over to him, that aspen, that raccoon had ran into the wigwam, went over there, grabbed her dish, and ate it real fast. And then put it out and took off out the wigwam. So now she's getting pretty hacked off. So she's thinking, this is just ridiculous. So she starts working her way around the wigwam. She finds the old man and gives him a shove. Oh, what's that for? Kiwezi? Gayabiedes. You're lazy. And first off, you don't want to get any beach. You don't want to get any water from the Zeebiwas, from the creek. Okay, so I go and get the water. Then what do I have to do? I have to cook the food too. I cook the food. I make us a delightful meal. I dish myself out a plate, set it there. Dish you out a plate. What do? You eat my plate too. Ridiculous. And she's just laying into that Kiwezi, just giving him a heck, giving him a hard time. And he's like, oh, I swear I didn't do it. The raccoon's watching the distance. He is just having a heyday. He is loving it. He's just like, oh. Finally, he just can't contain himself anymore. Just busts out laughing. And just starts rolling on the ground. He just can't take it any longer. And them dumb moles, the old lady, and the old man, the old Kiwezi, he hear him and they think, uh-oh. And dumb Mose realizes that they've had a joke played on him. And she says to the Kiwezi, she says, you know, old man, Nagisanendum, I'm sorry. I should have believed you. I shouldn't have jumped to judgment. I'm sorry. And the Kiwezi, the old man, said, you know, that's okay. That's okay. And that's the story of the old blind couple. Yo.